So recently I had watched a podcast from Southside Rabbi, uh, which is really good if you guys don't watch. But they were talking about how people separate the human part of Jesus from the divine. Like you just want to follow the divine and the rules of the religion instead of recognizing the human part of Jesus and applying that to the human part of us and being sympathetic or being, you know, giving grace to us humans that are struggling or whatever. And that made me think about like Jesus was a whole human I mean, he's completely human the whole time, but like just a regular old human, no miracles, no nothing. For what, 30 years? Like it's Christmas time. He was born as a baby. Like he grew up. We know that he was like in his adolescence and ran off and went to the synagogues or whatever, being about his father's business, and we know those couple things, but like he lived his whole life as a regular human, and we know that he was a regular human because everybody was shocked when I was like, Jesus, this guy, you think he's, who we've been waiting on? Jesus of Nazareth, like, oh boy over there in the hood, like, he ain't nobody special. So because of that, we know that he was just living his regular life because people that knew him knew that. I mean, they probably was like, oh, he a really nice dude, or he a hard worker, or, he probably has these good characteristics, but as far as being savior, they're like, he is just a regular old dude. So that made me think of like, okay, so I'm reading Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15 in the podcast. They talk about this, but it's for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. So that made me think, okay, 30 years of just being a regular dude, a teenager, how many thoughts he had, how many things he struggled with. He just didn't act on them. But how many things did he struggle with that he could understand you as a teenager, what you're going through, what you're feeling? And that just shook me. Then as like a young man, a young adult, like how many things did he see, did he hear, did he think, did he feel? Just because he didn't act on it didn't mean he didn't recognize these things in himself. Doesn't mean he didn't feel things. Doesn't mean he didn't think things. We act on things, and that's what makes it sin. But that doesn't mean that things doesn't arise up in us as humans. So it's like, how many things did he think of? Did he feel? Or just witness from other people? Maybe he didn't do anything, but just being like a teenager and being around these people, seeing like, oh, they doing this, they doing that. That doesn't mean he's sinned, but he saw other people and understood why they did it, and so he could experience stuff that way because we experience stuff by secondhand. So he could experience like his friends or his family feeling these things, going through these things, and it made me think of, I don't know, I guess it's really overwhelming to really recognize the human of Jesus. And I think of like young men who see like little boys that are like rowdy and crazy, and you look at that little boy like, oh, I remember I was like that, and sympathize for the mom. Like I remember I was like that with my mom. I feel bad for her, or I my love to her for having to deal with a rowdy kid. So like, but Jesus probably does that by times a million. Like I remember feeling that way. I remember being tempted. I remember the devil won't leave me alone. I remember these things, so I sympathize for you. But let me tell you how you should handle this. Like, it's not like who God our Father is telling us because He is a creator. He created us to be this, and this is how we should be, and these are the steps that we should take to be that. Jesus is like, no, let me tell you what happened with me. Let me tell you what I felt. Let me tell you how I did it. Let me tell you. And it's just, I don't know, it's just wrecking me right now. Like that is more than just the miracles. It's more than just the healing. It's more than just the deliverance. It's the everyday stuff. It's the stuff that no one talks about. It's the stuff that we try to hide. It's the stuff that we think we have under control. Those are the things he can relate to. Those are the things that we need to take to them. Those are the things that he will show us how to overcome and how to manage and defeat, because we need those moments to be controlled in order to be, a real blessing to the kingdom. So he wants to sit with us in those moments so that we can go out and preach the gospel like he did and heal people like he did with a full heart, with a knowing that he's with us in the quiet as well as with us in the open. So be blessed.